Breaking right now, a live look at the House floor. The House passes the Republicans' debt bill. Now, this would raise the debt ceiling by $1.5 trillion, still restricting government spending. 4 Republicans voted on the proposal. However, President Biden has refused to negotiate with Republicans on the spending cuts, saying House Speaker Kevin McCarthy is holding the economy hostage.
Day rubber match between the Red Sox and Orioles. Ramon Urias starting at third and was perfect, 4 for 4. That single to center in the fourth unties the 1-1 ball game. O's get the lead, never looked back. Tyler Wells solid on the bump, 5 2/3, 2 earned runs, 7 strikeouts. O's take the series 6-2. We are a day and some change away from the start of the NFL draft with tomorrow night's first round. Barring any trades, the Ravens sit at 5 total picks, only 1 in the top 85 due to no second rounder. The Ravens are on the clock at 22nd overall. This is that perfect trade back situation. A number of cornerbacks and wide receivers are expected to still be around in the mid to late 20s, especially if there's a run on quarterbacks as predicted. Those are the 2 biggest needs for the Ravens to address, a starting corner and true number 1 receiver. They also need defensive line depth and an interior offensive lineman, positions they'll look to draft with that best player mentality leading the way.
In general, I think, secondary is always something that we can address. Offensive line is always something. The defensive line that we should address. The receiver position. Those positions where you need multiple guys to play.
Bookies.com released an updated version today of Ravens odds for that first round pick. Receiver is running away with it. TCU's Quentin Johnston, the top pick, plus 300 with 25% implied probability. Boston College's Zay Flowers and Tennessee's Jalen Hyatt at just over 18%. And look what's next. Tennessee quarterback Hendon Hooker, followed by Maryland corner Deontay Banks. For all your Ravens draft coverage, stay right here on Fox 45. Rocco DeSangro and myself have you covered. Live reports start tomorrow from Owings Mills. Aaron Rodgers introduced as the New York Jets quarterback. That's tonight when Sports Unlimited continues.
All right, Morgan, thank you. Tonight at 6 o'clock, more demolition at Perkins Homes as phase 2 of redevelopment begins. What state leaders are hoping to change about affordable housing. Backlash over a company-mandated dress code, why some say it's illegal, and who it may be singling out.
"12 people shot in 12 hours in Baltimore, one of them killed. The latest on the violence outbursts hitting just about every part of the city.
I feel trapped. I'm angry because this doesn't have to be this way.
A Northwest Baltimore woman scared to leave her home, worried drug dealers are taking over her community. She spoke to Fox 45 News exclusively on her pleas to police for help going ignored. And looking at affordable housing in a new light, what phase 2 of a $30 million redevelopment plan could bring to Perkins homes.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 News at 6.
And we continue to follow the breaking news. An 18-year-old shot in North Baltimore. Police say it happened just before 2 this afternoon on East 37th Street near Old York Road. The victim was shot in the thigh, taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. Anybody with information should contact Baltimore police. Good evening, everybody. I'm Mary Bubala. The shooting comes during what has been a violent 24 hours in Baltimore, which prior to today's shooting saw 12 people shot over a 12-hour stretch, leaving one man dead. Fox 45's Rebecca Pryor pressed officials after a hearing on crime reduction today was suddenly canceled.
It was a crime spree that touched nearly every corner of the city. We saw shootings reported in the north, southeast, and west districts, sending an already short-staffed police department scrambling. Tuesday, from 2 in the afternoon to 2 at night, a series of separate shootings claiming 12 victims in a 12-hour streak of rampant violence. Among the victims, a 28-year-old man found dead mere minutes after a triple shooting injured a 14-year-old boy. Dozens and dozens of evidence markers seen littering the ground where the teen was struck. Hours later, another triple shooting would spill more blood on Baltimore streets. Police Union President Michael Mancuso telling Fox 45 the shootings that hit 5 of Baltimore's 9 police districts made for a chaotic day and night for his officers. Mancuso going on to write, it goes back to being so very short-staffed. Our cops did a great job, but they are exhausted and overworked. Forced overtime daily, and the summer is not here yet. With the department currently 500 officers down, throughout the night, dispatchers could be heard seemingly grappling with the staffing shortages.
Wagon person isn't in yet. They're on overtime.
Adam shift units coming clear, guys. Still holding 7 calls or 3 priority ones. They have no one available at this time.
Meanwhile, today at City Hall, a public safety hearing scheduled to discuss crime reduction and violence prevention suddenly canceled. Fox 45 sent questions to the mayor's office, BPD, and members of city council expected to attend, asking, given the recent rash of violence, should today's meeting have been canceled? Will it be rescheduled? And doesn't the public deserve to know what's fueling this latest string of shootings? But as of news time tonight, no answers. Now, police did respond to our question, saying it wasn't their decision to cancel this meeting. However, when we asked if they could still elaborate on why the meeting was canceled, we did not hear back. In Baltimore City, Rebecca Pryor, Fox 45 News.
Well, more information about that 14-year-old shot yesterday. He was among 3 people wounded along Orleans and Montfort. Thankfully, he is expected to be okay, but the shooting happened right in the middle of the McElderly Park Safe Streets zone. Just hours after Fox 45 News attended a news conference held by the mayor and Monzi, which oversees Safe Streets, touting success by the gun violence interrupters. Our Mackenzie Frost questioned the mayor at a public event this afternoon.
Why should the city trust you when you say that this new $5 million investment on top of the funding for Safe Streets will actually make a difference when on the same day we saw 3 people shot?
Well, I think the residents of Baltimore are a little smarter than to think about it in that sense, right? The reality is that we're talking about a program that's been existing since 2008. The program that's been looked at by outside partners. Again, Johns Hopkins, one of the top hospital and medical institutions in the world, has shown that the program works. And we know that not just with Safe Streets, with our police department, we're not going to say just because, well, someone got shot and the police department was up the street that we shouldn't invest in the police department. We should treat Safe Streets the same way. We know that both approaches work. We have the focus there, but we also know that we have to continue to focus on why in the hell people are doing these kind of things to each other over small things.
Well, the mayor did not answer questions about how Safe Streets locations monitor and track funding, including the petty cash allowances. Well, as of this morning, 86 people have been killed. 182 have survived shootings compared to 2022 at this time. That is 100 homicides and 200 non-fatal shootings. The month alone of the month of April alone, accounting for roughly 33% of all non-fatal shootings this year. Well, first on Fox, a Northwest Baltimore woman terrified to leave her home, saying a rise in drug dealers throughout her community has made it unsafe to leave. And now she's asking Fox 45 News for help. Maxine Stryker has her story.
Well, she agreed to speak with us only if we hid her identity. That's how scared she is. But she felt it was important to tell her story, as she says her concerns have gone ignored for years.
This is not easy for me to talk to you right now.
When this woman, who didn't want to be identified out of fear of retaliation, moved to Forest Park, she says she felt safe.
It was quiet and friendly.
But now?
I'm afraid to come out of my house and sit because of the activity that goes on up, on that corner. It's scary.
She's a hostage in her own home.
I feel like a prisoner. I feel that I can't enjoy my home, the place I pay taxes for, where I live, where my family lives, and I feel trapped.
She says there's constant drug activity along Chelsea Terrace between Fairview and Norfolk Avenue.
It can be 5 of them, or sometimes I've seen 25 of them.
And she says often the men are preying on young children.
Once I saw a child who looked to be about 8 years old. I've seen adults pull up in cars and then hand backpacks to these kids. They're using them.
Over the years, she says she's called police many times, but it hasn't stopped.
I'm angry because this doesn't have to be this way.
She's even considered moving.
I'm a tax-paying citizen. I pay income taxes. I pay property tax. I pay, tax when I buy something in the state. And I am paying for elected officials to just basically tell me, oh, well, you have, I feel like they've left us, like they don't care. Or if they do care, they're not doing anything about it.
Feeling like there's no help from city leaders?
I'd like to see them stop stunting and pontificating and actually do something. Stop trying to profile and look good and be friends to criminals. Give them more rights than they give the tax-paying, law-abiding citizens in this city.
Her only hope now is her story.
Get these drug dealers off the corners. Stop these kids from being used. Give us some peace.
Her cries for change.
It's important, and if I'm gonna die on a hill, it's gonna be this one.
Will finally be heard.
Pray that it doesn't go that way, but this is the one.
Now, we did reach out to the Baltimore Police Department asking what they are doing about open-air drug markets. In a statement, a spokesperson said the city of Baltimore works closely with local, state, and federal partners in enhancing evidence-based harm reduction measures and proven addiction treatment programs, while also holding drug trafficking organizations accountable for the damage that they inflict on neighborhoods. They also point to narcotics arrests being up this year. You can find their full statement right now on our website at foxbaltimore.com. In Baltimore, Maxine Stryker, Fox 45 News.
Developing right now, attorneys for Adnan Syed file a motion with the Maryland Appeals Court to reconsider its decision to reinstate his murder conviction. Syed's conviction was vacated last September after spending more than 2 decades in prison. Now, former City State's Attorney Marilyn Mosby said that was because of new DNA evidence. The appeals court reinstated it last month after the family of Hayman Lee petitioned the court. Syed's attorneys argue the appellate judges broke their own precedent by not requiring the family to approve the outcome of the hearing would have been different if they'd received more notice to attend in person. Mary?
Kai, thank you. Phase 2 of redevelopment is underway as Baltimore City continues to tear down the Perkins Homes neighborhood. The mayor participated in the demolition today. The city is building more than 150 new affordable apartments on the site, which was previously a housing project built in the 1940s. The $30 million redevelopment is part of a state effort to bring new meaning to the term affordable housing, as city and state leaders want to bring more people to Baltimore.
We have not always taken into consideration the dignity of the residents that we put into affordable housing throughout our communities. And that's, of course, true on the ground that we stand. But today, we are looking to renew our commitment to unwinding fundamentally racist policies of the past and to deliberately counteracting those decisions.
Well, those in attendance at today's ceremony also saw a demolition kicking off phase 2 of development. And here's our look at today's top trending stories. Number 1, Howard County Police warning of a string of thefts involving disability placards being taken from cars. Police say in the span of one night, 10 were stolen. Happened between April 14th and April 15th. Police believe it was likely one person or a small group who broke into the cars. So far, no arrests have been made. Number 2, an attempted ATM smash and grab at an Essex gas station, leaving behind some massive damage. Baltimore County Police say it happened just before 2 a.m. Gas station employees telling us 5 people inside the car tried to make off with the ATM, but couldn't move it. So they took the cash register instead. No one was injured during the robbery. Well, following the breaking news on Capitol Hill, the Republican-led House just passed a debt limit bill. Where it goes next, and concern from Democrats.
And a round of showers and thunderstorms impacting portions of the area this evening. We're actually tracking them on the HD radar in a minute here. 7 p.m., 10 p.m., those showers and storms stick around. It gradually dries out into tomorrow morning. But this is only the beginning. I'll let you know when we're going to have some bigger rain coming through here. My Weather Authority forecast.
Minutes ago, the House Republicans led a vote in favor of a debt limit bill. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy worked out differences with members of his own party who were fighting to keep certain tax credits in place. Republicans have built in caps on spending increases by 1% each year over the next decade and also reversed spending levels to 2022. That bill is passed. However, it is all but certain to face defeat in the Senate and a veto by President Biden.
Guy, thank you. Well, the aviation industry paying close attention to what happens in Washington as the summer travel season looms. National correspondent Atra El Nashar takes us through the major challenges facing the FAA.
Americans taking to the skies this summer, keeping their fingers crossed they won't see a repeat of last summer's mass cancellations. Or the chaos of Southwest Airlines' holiday meltdown. Or that they won't be one of the unlucky few to experience one of the recent near misses at U.S. airports.
Kansas takeoff clearance. Boarding takeoff, United 2003.
These pressure points and more, like a staffing shortage and NOTAM system failure that triggered a ground stop in January, under scrutiny as Congress decides how to keep funding the FAA.
I had someone say, I don't feel like I'm buying a ticket, I feel like I'm buying a chance.
Republicans have been quick to point fingers at Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg, whose department, on top of these aviation issues, has also dealt with supply chain bottlenecks and train derailments. The secretary says Republicans are now making the problem worse by using the current debt ceiling fight in Congress to call for trillions in spending cuts over the next decade. Cuts the department says could, among other things, increase TSA security wait times at major airports by up to 2 hours.
And if you're one of these extreme House Republicans proposing a budget that would cut not just research into things like aviation safety, but actually cut our ability to hire air traffic controllers and to inspect railroads and make sure that they're safe, then you have to be accountable for that position.
The position of FAA administrator is up in the air. Acting Administrator Billy Nolan is stepping down this summer. And the president's pick to replace him, Denver Airport CEO Phil Washington, withdrew his nomination after Republicans blocked his confirmation. The president has yet to name a new nominee. Whoever gets the job will inherit personnel and modernization challenges. Among the toughest may be reassuring the flying public that their journeys will be safe and on schedule. In Washington, I'm Atrel Nashar reporting.
Fox Triplecast this evening showing some darkening skies near us house and still some sunshine on the Toyota Asian Harbor Skycam. In the HD radar, we're tracking our latest weather maker, and there's a good deal of rain, even a couple of isolated thunderstorms now impacting your second half of the afternoon evening commute. Take a look here from Butler all the way to Boring, Lee's Mill, Trenton and Arden Valley, as well as Moncton. Maybe some heavy rain and downpours too, and there is some lightning there. And then Eldersburg also, you're seeing a round of some showers and thunderstorms too. We zoom out, that's kind of the only game in town. Had some earlier showers around Baltimore, but those continue to pass south and east now, just east of Easton and Denton, getting into the lower Delmarva. But there is potentially more where this came from, as you see this kind of forming in Pennsylvania and shifting southbound. So all the way through just after midnight, I think we stand the chance of getting some of these spot showers and storms. So keep that in mind and budget in some extra time for some potentially wet roads and reduced visibilities. Then there are tornado watches, severe thunderstorm watches well down to our south with kind of part two of this system. And that's going to be the bigger rain that's actually going to impact us as we head into Friday. A little bit of a respite for tomorrow, but then the rain comes back in as the moisture feed comes in out of the Gulf of Mexico, really going to supercharge this thing. And we do have a moderate drought that's impacting us right now. So there's one band of rain this afternoon. That'll help us out. Dry day tomorrow, so that's okay. And then on Friday, it looks like a soaker as we continue with more good rain risks. So 62 right now, Toyota Asian Harbor Skycam winds out of the southeast at 8. No rain there, but there are other places where we have seen some, and it's cooled down to 59 where that rain has come through. Right at Westminster, 56 up at Elkton. We're at 62 Baltimore, 65 at Laurel, and good deal of clouds, kind of a swath across the state right now. Into the overnight hours, we'll hang on to some of those clouds and still some of those scattered showers and maybe a rumble. Through about midnight or so, those pass south and east. Some clearing skies for tomorrow that pushes temperatures back into the 60s once again. And then look at what happens on Friday. Starting in the morning, maybe some light rain and drizzle here and there, but I think the afternoon commute especially looking messy and wet, and it could last into the weekend too. 47, showers, perhaps a thunderstorm during the evening. That then ends. 68, good looking day tomorrow. I'm going to take you all the way through that wet weekend in my exclusive 10-day forecast coming up.
Weather Window, presented by the National Weather Desk.
Large hail fell across northern and central Texas Tuesday night, golf ball sized and even larger. The stones were big enough to shatter many car windows. Now to the Mississippi River, which is now at flood stage in many places, thanks to snowmelt up north. Iowa communities like Davenport and Dubuque could see some of the worst flooding in 20 years.
Want to see your weather photos and videos on TV? Click Chime In on this station's website to share.